We organize our understanding of the world through a strict, universally accepted divide. On one side, we place history, journalism, and science, absolute, objective truth. On the other side, we place novels, myths, and fantasy, the realms of invented lies. The Argentine writer Jorge Luis Borges looked at this rigid division and collapsed it with a single controversial claim: all prose is fiction. Your immediate instinct is to push back. You read the morning news, you study historical biographies, and you rely on scientific journals. You see these as records of what happened, not myths. But Borges forces us to ask a difficult question. Is it physically possible to write a purely objective sentence? Or is every piece of written communication, at its core, a form of storytelling? If Borges is right, the boundary we use to navigate reality is a myth. Every factual account we encounter becomes an act of construction. Consider a standard newspaper article about a local flood. It lists the who, what, when, where, and why. This is our baseline for dry facts. To fit a chaotic physical event onto a single page, the journalist must make choices. They pull specific details to include and erase others from the record. Then, those surviving facts are rearranged. Real life rarely happens in a clean sequence of rising action, climax, and resolution. To keep you reading, the writer structures the data to fit that exact curve. Even the adjectives are curated for impact. A phrase like significant water rise is clinically accurate, but it gets replaced with devastating flood to evoke a specific emotional response. Words are symbols. They are rough approximations of the physical world, never the physical world itself. This curation is the nature of language itself. Humans communicate facts by first translating reality into a narrative form. Borges actively demonstrated this in his work. In his collection Ficciones, he wrote essays that looked like fictional stories, and stories that read like dry, scholarly investigations. Other writers applied this logic to reality. Truman Capote took the clinical facts of a real murder and engineered them into the pacing and dialogue structure of a thriller. In the 1960s, the streets of California became the backdrop for the next evolution of reporting. Joan Didion covered that era by abandoning the pretense of the invisible reporter. She filtered historical events through her own intimate and often migraine-clouded perspective. Decades later, David Foster Wallace was sent to report on a Maine lobster festival. He transformed a straightforward event recap into a philosophical maze about ethics and pain. These writers recognize that raw data is inert. To make facts resonate as true, a writer must use the tools of fiction: pacing, perspective, and voice. Modern anxieties over AI and fake news have led to a search for robotic objectivity, an attempt to strip human bias out of the text. But if every sentence is a construct, then chasing a purely objective, bias-free piece of writing is impossible. Authenticity emerges through the intentional presence of the writer's unique voice and perspective. Writers are free to apply narrative tools to any format, whether a business report, a travel blog, or a personal diary. Ask yourself before you type your next sentence, what specific fiction am I crafting to make this point unforgettable? Acknowledging the artifice in our writing reveals a much deeper human reality, elevating the storyteller within every single report.